Hi and welcome to Sublime Media. I'm Jonas and today I'm going to show you my recent vinyl finds. So this time no jazz, but I think most of the other genres is in here. And I have a shit load of records to show you, so I'm going to start like right away. The reason why I've managed to listen to so many is because of the big collection that I bought, and I've cleaned them and also had the opportunity to play them because I first had the flu and then pneumonia for 3 weeks. So I had some time to really listen to records where I couldn't do sort of anything else. I couldn't go out and so forth. So yeah, this is the result of my pain. But before we continue, as always, we'll play the little intro. I don't know why I have the intro. I think it's a nice sort of way of kicking things, but that serves no purpose really. Okay, but it feels nice. This is the first one. This is Sticky Fingers from 1971, and for all you Sticky Fingers enthusiasts out there, this is what is called the blank with 2 intendant lines version, because there are so many different first pressings of this with different pressing plans, but also the guys doing the Andy Warhol cover, the zipper alone, there are I don't know how many different sort of pressings of it. Classic record, obviously, and it's with the sort of the 2 title boxed thingies, which I think indicates that it's a first press. Fun fact, I think I watched a video or something that when this came out, they got a bunch of these back because the zipper was actually hurting the record. When they lay down, the zipper made scratches on the record. So what they did was that they just opened the fly so that the zipper came down here, and this is where the label was, so it didn't hurt the record per se. So that was a replacement copy. I had the record, but I replaced it for the one in the big collection. This was in better shape and it was an earlier press, so I mean, win-win. The next one is, let's see here. So the next one is the Elvin Bishop Group. So the next one is the Elvin Bishop Group, Feel It, from 1970. This is also from the big collection, and this is awesome. This is blues, rock, maybe on more leaning a little bit more against rock than blues in this case. I don't know much about Elvin Bishop, but he plays a pretty neat guitar. They released 2 records in this sort of constellation, the Elvin Bishop Group. But I have to say, the thing with this record is the Pointer Sisters guesting on here, and they sing on almost every track. They do a fantastic job. Like the blues rock combined with the Pointer Sisters is just like so check it out. It's on a small label. I haven't really researched this label, but it's called Fillmore. I don't know if it's a big label or whatever. This is not a expensive record to get, so anyone can get a copy of this, and I urge everyone to do that. It's a fun blues rocking thing. So again, 1970, again the US. This is Blues Image with Open, and I think that Blues Image released a bunch of different records, and I think that this is the second one that they released. This is a record that I've seen in record stores and on sort of auction sites and stuff like that, and I've always been outbid. It's not a expensive record, not at all. It's very inexpensive, and in my opinion, it's fantastic. This is also kind of the blues rock thing with a splash of psychedelia maybe on Atco. This is the first stereo press, or one of the sort of pressing plants, but it's the first stereo press that was released on Atco in the States. And what surprised me almost most, because I knew about the music, and the music is great, but what surprised me the most was the sound quality of this. It sounds really, really good. And I mean, when Atco sounds good, they sound really good, but Atco can also sound shit. Those three were from the big collection. This is actually one that I bought from a collecting friend here in Sweden, and this is awesome. This is, I think, Barry Alan Wilson, a Canadian folk singer. It's self-titled and it's private pressed, and it's the only one that he put out, and it's fantastic. It even says on the spine, file under gospel rock. And sure, because this is a Christian album, and it's a Christian folk rock album in my opinion, there are some super duds on it, to be fair. Super duds. But there are some tracks that is just mind-blowingly good. And a private pressed Canadian record from 1980 that sounds like 1970. And you can find this for like 20 euros, something like that. I recommend everyone to check it out at least. The second track on the first side, Jesus Set Me Free, is fantastic. And I can't really remember the exact lyrics, but I think it's Jesus set me free because I had too much LSD. And if that's not a lyrical line of poetry, what is? Okay, moving on. This is also from the big collection, and I played it. Sounds great, and it's actually an update copy for me. I sold my other copy, it went like that. This is the Incredible String Band with the 5,000 spirits of the layers of the onion, or the layer of the onion. This is a first stereo press on Elektra, US stereo press, and it sounds terrific. I listened to this today, and I have to say that it's been a while since I played Incredible String Band. I don't have much in my collection, and I don't remember them as at some moments. I think that I mean, it's folk, it's UK folk, but parts of it almost reminds me a little bit of circus music or something like that. So I think I've peeled another layer of the onion that I didn't know existed when it comes to Incredible String Band. Nice one to have in the collection. It's in fantastic condition and a first press. I mean, so most of you have this. Everyone knows about it. This is Mountain with Flowers of Evil. Very easy to get, and I have to say I had a copy. I think I gave it away because it wasn't the best condition. This is in great condition, not perfect, but in great condition, so it's playable. But I have to say, what really sort of stood out this time, compared to the last time I played it, it's a rock record. It's almost sounds like southern rock in a way. But it has some psych in it also that really was surprising. They do some back loops and tape loops and stuff like that, which I really couldn't remember from my first sort of few listens of it. Great record. It's okay. It's a good record. Okay, so US, Texas. This is said to be one of the best sort of psych records put out on a major label. I don't know about that, but it's a fantastic record, and it's been on my want list for a while. It's not super expensive, but I have had a little bit of a problem finding it and getting it. So the band is called Green, and the title of the record is Green. They only released 2 records. The second one is if I've read it correctly, I haven't heard it, but if I read it, it's not that good. This is from 1969, I think. Yeah, 69. And this is again on Atco Records, and this also sounds fantastic. Like, it's really, really good. Doesn't sound as good as Blues Image, but it's way up there. I was surprised. This has everything a fuzz sort of enthusiast wants. It's almost a little bit pop psyche at times. It's fuzzy at times. There's not a bad song on it, but at the same time, no, I don't think that any of the songs are singles or radio sort of material. It's just through and through a fantastic Psych record, and it's highly, highly recommended. So, moving to Chicago, 1970, and I have to say it's been a while since, because I log everything that I get on Discogs, and Discogs also has a grading system, so you can put stars on a record. I use that to grade the music quality, not the pressing quality or anything like that. Because I want to be able to sort my favorite records, like music quality wise, and in this case it was a no-brainer. I played it 3 times already, and it got a 5-star rating from me. This is Aorta, and it's been so long since I don't know when this came on my want list the first time. It's an amazing record. Look at that heart there. I mean, shit. And you have the lyrics on that side. It's fantastic. And there is a passage on one song. I think it's 1,000 Thoughts, maybe, but one of on the B side at least, that it does sort of a phasing effect that goes from one speaker to the next and back again. It's insane. It's so psychedelic. It almost like you have to really hold on to the sofa when it comes on. Fantastic record, highly recommended. You can get this for like 15, 20, 25, 30 euros, something like that. If you find it for that price, I would buy it in a heartbeat. Did you see what I did there? I think it's one of the best sort of psych rock records I've heard in a long time. I know about it, but I mean, from the records that I have played, I think this is the first one that I grade a 5 in a very long time. Okay, so moving on, this is the Butterfield Blues Band, which I don't have much with. I don't know much about Paul Butterfield. I think the name of Paul Butterfield. This I think is the third by the band. It's a gatefold sleeve. This is the first US press. Sounds fantastic, and there's a naked lady on the backside. Won't show that too long because of the YouTube police. This is a blues rock record, and I mean, you could argue that it's a run-of-the-mill sort of record, but I sat down, really listened to it, and this I almost said this swings, but it doesn't swing. It rocks. Let's just put it like that. And this costs next to nothing. I think you can get that for like 5, 6, 7 euros, something like that. It's not many records nowadays that goes for that little. And if you find that, I would buy it instantly. I think it's a fantastic record when it comes to blues rock. Okay, so those records were from the big collection. Here comes some that I bought from a collecting friend or seller. And this has been also on the want list for so long. I mean, I'm glad that I found a US press of this, because the UK press is really, really expensive. This is Joanne Kelly on Epic Records. And if you don't know about this record, this was released in 1969. I think it's the first debut record by her. She did manage to put out some records during her lifetime, but many of them are sort of collaborations. She did one with John Fahey and stuff like that. So I don't know if maybe this is the only one that she did sort of by her own. And what this is a UK blues musician that plays and sings like it was 1920 in the US. When you put this on, this is blues for real. And I'm not a huge blues fan, but this talks to me, like really talks to me. This girl from the UK managed to blow so many blues artists from the States away. It's insane. Please check it out if you don't know what about her music and this record in particular. Joanne Kelly. She was born in 1945, or 44, something like that, and she died in 1990 because of headaches, which was a tumor in the brain. I think she died when she was 46 years old or something like that, and I'm 40 this year. So that also sort of resonates a little bit with me. I get a little bit of anxiety when I think of it. Really good. She played also with John Dummer Band in the UK. One that I have in the collection, but I haven't played it yet, so I don't know how that sounds or her contribution to that. Highly recommended. This is 1974. This was released. It's the second solo effort by Pekka Pohjola. And I've had the Love Records version on my want list forever. And it just keeps on pushing up in price. So feels like I lost the opportunity to really buy it. But I managed through a friend to find this in very good condition and very good price. Be the Magpie with Pekka Pohjola. So this is the UK version, not the Love version. So you have the Virgin label there. So the funny thing is that 3 weeks ago, something like that, I interviewed Eero Koivistonen, the legendary sax player from Finland, and he is on every track except one. But we didn't talk about this specific record, unfortunately. You have Pekka Pohjola, obviously, and Eero Koivistonen, but you also have Kosta Petria, who was a Swedish musician who played with Sanna Malmas Manna. His playing, I have to say, suits this music perfectly. And I know that Pekka Pohjola also went to Sweden to record and play with some of these musicians also. So everything by Pekka Pohjola, in my opinion, is interesting, but the early stuff that he did is fantastic. Some of the best music ever put out in Scandinavia. Okay, so I don't know much about Taj Mahal, but I have his solo record from 67, 68. The first one that he released, which I think is a magnificent record. Definitely a keeper. Now, it's not very long time since I got the Giant Steps, a 2 LP set, his third release, and I really didn't get it. Like, I couldn't get into it. I really didn't like it, and I ended up selling it not long after really getting it. But in the big sort of huge collection that I bought, this was in there, and this is the first UK press of the second record that he released, the Natural Blues. I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry. In the States, this was actually issued with a different cover artwork, a sort of a black and white thing, which I think is a better artwork. It's a more interesting artwork. But this is nice. Looks cool there with the cigarette. And again, this, just like the first debut record, is killer. Like, really, really good. So maybe I should try his fourth just to see what happens after Giant Steps. But yeah, this is brilliant. And so the first two records by Taj Mahal gets my recommendation all day long. I actually managed to find this record online from a guy, and it was, considering it was really, really cheap. So I sampled it on 1 or 2 tracks online, and it just, because I had no idea about the record, but it looked intriguing. And it was like, the music really blew me away. So I bought it right away. Got it for a great price, and I'm talking about Head West. So yeah, this is on the disc Vogue, so a French press. I think this was released in France before anywhere else, but I might be wrong there. I'm reading a little bit here, but they were first called the Seven Souls, LA-based band out from California. This guy here is Bob Welch. Bob Welch, after this project, because this was released in 1970, after this project, he went on to become a member of Fleetwood Mac. Don't know what these guys went to, but and when it comes to the music on this is so schizophrenic. And I'm reading the Discogs sort of style description here. You have jazz, rock, funk, and soul, with blues rock, prog rock, funk, psychedelic rock, and soul. And yes, it's everything and more. This is like a Swedish smörgåsbord of music. It's everywhere, and it's fantastic. highly recommended. Check it out if you don't know about this. It's a killer record, and it's been released back in 1970 on different pressings from different countries. So I think they are more or less easy to get a hold of depending on the pressing. So yeah, I recommend you at least sample it and check it out. I wish I had a book or something like that about Alexis Korner, because it feels like, I don't know much about the guy, but it feels like he was super important for sort of the blues, the UK blues movement out of the mid-60s and forward. I have one record with him, and it's a sort of a compilation record, I think, called Bootleg Him. And in this collection that I bought, I found this. And it's a good blues rock record. Alexis Korner, A New Generation of Blues, 1967 or 68. And this is actually a Swedish press on Sonnet. So that's pretty cool. It was originally released on Liberty in the UK. So if someone has recommendations, or if there's a book or something like that I can find information about, I'll read more about Alexis Korner and listen to his music, please comment down below. Feels like a guy that I should know more about. But yeah, this was great. Yeah, and again, in the sort of big collection, this were there, and this is one that's been on my want list also, because I really respect and like 10 Years After, but the longer they produced records, the less interested I become. So I've listened to sort of the 70s stuff when it comes to later 70s, and it's really not my bag. But they released some fantastic music in the 60s and early 70s, and I did not have this in my collection. And in the collection I bought, this was there, a fantastic copy of a first stereo UK press on Deram. Great condition, sounds fantastic. And yeah, when it comes to 10 Years After, I don't think that this is the best one, but it's really maybe a top 3 for me, a little bit more poppy maybe, than more flat out blues coming later on. And Alvin Lee is a remarkable, fantastic guitar player. Okay, the next one, this is a record I've had for a long time. I played it a few times now, and it's time for it to go into the shelves. Bought it from a collecting friend out there who was done with it. This is Jimmy Spheris, I think that is how you pronounce his name, with The Dragon is Dancing. And this is like the 3rd or the 4th release by him. And it's hard not to get intrigued by the sort of surfer hippie pictures of Jimmy there. 1975. It sort of, I should say that it sounds like a little bit like this. It's very mellow and soft rockish. It's a little bit like Neil Young at times, but then again, not the sort of the quality. It's a cool record. It seems like, it feels, when I listen to it, it feels like this could as easily have been a private pressed record with a sort of a unknown artist out there, but he released a lot of music back in the day. So okay record. Okay, moving on. This is the next one. The jacket looks pretty damn awful, but the record's played nicely. This is Neil Merriweather, Word of Mouth, with a 2-record super jam, and I think that that's a pretty nice description of this. This is blues, rock, psych. Maybe he went much more into progressive, into the progressive genre after this, but it took some years for him to go into this. This is the first one I have by Neil Merriweather, and I have to say that this is a fun ride from start to finish. Like I played this all the way through from the first side to the 4th side, and it's great. It's really a sort of a blues rocking party record. in some sense. So I'm really glad that I picked it up. I got it for a great price. It's not an expensive record at all. Moving on, this is a little bit more rare than the other one, and I'm super glad to have finally scored this. It's been on my want list for a very long time, and a collecting friend called Jens hooked me up with this one. This is fantastic. The only sort of sucky thing with this is that it's not a gatefold sleeve. The UK version, which is more expensive and even harder to get, is with a gatefold sleeve, so you get the entire record cover. This is the German press. Cover artwork is done by Hypnosis in 1971. And the band is called Daylight, as you can see. They only released one record. And this is UK folk at its absolute best. Like, if you are into UK folk with that little bit more, like, not Celtic at all, not that sort of folk, but not traditional folk, but more rock, folk rock, but more leaning against folk. This is the perfect record. You should check this out. And the musicians are great. Like Mike Silver, great guitarist, vocals are great. You have Christy Kyle, something like that. Helps out with the vocals also and plays some guitar on one track. And Steve Hayton. But the rhythm section here with Tony Carr on drums and Spike Hatley on double bass, they are from a jazz tradition, and they really makes this sort of folk record swinging. It's hard to really describe it, because you have this sort of mellow folk rock sort of ingredient, and then you just push in like swinging jazz rhythms in there, and what you get is Daylight. So it's such a shame that they didn't do more music and more records. Okay, so let's put it like this. If this record was private pressed and only pressed in like 50 or 100 copies, and someone found it now, you know, in that sort of acid folk genre, this would be a $1,000 record. But now it's not. This is the only release by Billy Mitchell called Might Be Hope, and it's on a major label, Mercury. This is the only record that he released, and I mean, okay, so it's not like Dylan or Neil Young or whatever, you know, the sort of, it doesn't have those songs, that sort of quality, but it has something else. It has a nerve. It has a sort of a little bit of a naivety to it. That is hard to describe. Highly recommended, and it's cheap. No one wants it. Grab it before everyone notices. The next one, this is a great record that I had no idea about. Saw it for a great price, sampled it, decided to buy it. This, I think, this is in the kraut genre. It's a German progressive record from 1975, and it's produced by Conny Plank. And the title of the record and the band is called Time, on Buck Records. I don't have anything more on Buck. This is a progressive, almost jazzy sort of record that is highly recommended. If you are into the German progressive music, this is something that you should check out. Okay, the next one is one that I replaced for one of my own copies. I had a stereo copy in great shape, but in the collection were a first mono press by Loves Da Capo, and I have to say this sounded better. It was in a little bit better condition, but overall the mono actually sounded better than the stereo copy. So I'm selling the stereo copy and keeping the mono copy. And last but absolutely not least is also one that I changed for my own. This is a Beggar's Banquet first stereo press on Decca, in great condition. There's a gatefold there. I don't know if you can see it. And I'm glad to have that in my collection now. I have the mono box set that I bought. Sounds terrific. This is stereo. It's another thing. I think I prefer this actually. So I think it's a keeper, but a nice one to add to the collection. And such an early pressing also is kind of cool. So that's it. If you have any comments, please write them down below, and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. And remember the Ko-Fi page that I have, I'll leave link down below if you're interested in checking that out for more content. Please go to that page, and I'll talk to you in my next video. Have a great day, everyone. Bye. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want more content like this, I actually have a Instagram account too, so go over there and follow me. I see you over there, and I see you in my next video. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.